Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the FAIR Training Noon training webinar that is co-hosted today together with two other Nordic European Digital Innovation Hubs, Location Innovation Hub from Finland and Nemonor from Norway. Today, we will discuss smart cities and how technology and data is being leveraged to enhance urban living, to make cities more efficient, sustainable, and livable. And today we'll explore how startups, innovators, and municipalities can collaborate and develop smart data-driven solutions with the help of tools, data, and expert support available. But before that, I will just highlight a little bit about us European Digital Innovation Hubs. We are 3 of the 151 innovation hubs around Europe. Our key purpose is to support especially SMEs, but also public organizations in digitalization and utilization of innovative technologies. We operate on 4 key areas. The first one is skills and training. The second one is test before invest services, including different kind of testing platforms, also testing support and technical proof of concept works, for example. We also help out in research and through thesis projects, for example. The third category that we operate in is supporting accessing finance, whether it's about public or private funding. And the fourth area of operations is connecting companies and public organizations into the innovation ecosystems and networks. Our first speaker today is Petter Kvalvik, and he is responsible for the strategic research area on digital sovereignty at the Institute of Energy in Norway, My Digital City program, and the Test Before Invest services at the Nemonor European Digital Innovation Hub. He is also responsible for the Norwegian FIWARE iHub, the position that was recently acquired. Petter, without further ado, could you please introduce us and help us understand what is FIWARE and how its tools and services can benefit smart city development?
Hopefully you can see my screen now.
All good.
All good. So, yeah, thank you very much for the introduction and the possibility to share something about the work going on in Norway about these digital innovation hubs. So again, my name is Petter Kvalvik. I'm a senior researcher at Institute for Energy Technology. I'm also head of business development here, so trying to get the research into the industry and businesses and public sector in Norway and Europe. And I'm also heading this FIWARE iHub called the My Digital City iHub. And some details about Nemonor. We are also, of course, European Digital Innovation Hub. And as you can see on the right-hand side here, you see some of the actors that are part of this. This is, for example, one of the biggest research institutes in Norway, like SINTEF, and NTNU is here, Smart Innovation Norway, Digital Norway. They are an interest organization for digitalization in Norway, and they are actually also heading Nemonor. And we also have this cluster here called NORA, Norwegian Cluster of Artificial Intelligence, and they are playing a key role in providing the quality of the services in Nemonor. Unfortunately, our web pages are still only Norwegian only, but you can visit the web pages by going to the link Nemonor/services or tjenester in Norwegian. So I will talk a little bit about the basis for the services provided by Institute for Energy Technology. You can have a look at all of the other services as well in the Nemonor web pages. But I will go into what we are delivering. And we are now focusing, at least in the first stage of Nemonor, on IoT data from smart cities and buildings. So we started out, I think it's 4 or 5 years ago, looking into different IoT ecosystems. And as part of this journey, we found a company in Sweden called Sensitive, and they were working with FIWARE. So we wanted to dive a little bit into what is FIWARE as an architecture, and how can this be used in smart city applications to address different challenges. And just to give a brief introduction in how we are using the FIWARE technology. So when it comes to cities, we are looking into the physical environment of the city. And in the physical environment today, there are a lot of different sensor vendors that are providing, in a way, silos for collecting data. So you may all be aware of all of these different types of sensors, like collecting data about the water supply, electricity. It could be the air quality, parking, mobility, and so on. All of these data are locked in silos, and to be able to utilize AI-based solutions and, for example, digital twins, we need to be able to get hold of this kind of silo data and try to harmonize it. And that's why we decided to use FIWARE for this, because it could be used to collect the state of the city. And this is really useful, at least for building digital twins, for running different simulations or perform what-if analysis and so on, but also for providing apps for the citizens or new services for the citizens. And FIWARE has a lot of different components. I will not go into detail here, but all of them are open source, they are extendable, and they address the different challenges. Like in this simple figure, they have something called IoT agents to collect data from a diverse set of protocols from the different silos at the bottom of the figure. They have different security modules, and of course the heart of everything, the context broker that translates all of this data into smart data and following the smart data models. So, for example, a street lamp or a garbage bin or a water consumption sensor is described in the same way. So we are now working here together with the local municipality to create this kind of city platform for IoT to be able to provide this kind of data for different applications. And in regards of Nemonor, we would like the customers of Nemonor to get access to this data, and of course access to AI tools that we can provide. I will come back to the services later. So just to emphasize on some of the important constituents of this of the selection of the IoT platform, we would like to comply to the minimal interoperability mechanisms provided by the Living in EU initiative, for example, to have a specific protocol and API for the data, and we have selected NGCI LD, that is in the core of the FIWARE ecosystem and the Smart Data Models initiative. So we also then have been appointed to become this iHub in Norway, and it fits quite good to the Smart City initiative called the My Digital City. So it's a pentahelix initiative, and we are targeting lots of different stakeholders that you can see here in the figure. And I think that this is really important when it comes to smart city development. You need to engage all of these stakeholders. And just as an example, we have a local university college as well involved in this initiative, so that we can also target students. But of course, the most important thing here for Nemonor services is SMEs and startups. So we have some roles here, and in a way, this overlap a little bit with the Nemonor, the idea of the Nemonor European Digital Innovation Hub, but this just strengthened what we are doing in the Nemonor Hub, so that we can provide services based on what we are doing in this hub. So we have this iHub center where we have a physical location, we have training facilities and so on. We are developing training for the iHub school. We have an iHub lab, and that's a technical infrastructure, a Kubernetes developed infrastructure that enables different configuration of smart city solutions to be provided into Nemonor. We will also help businesses, and this overlaps a little bit with the Nemonor services, but it's just strengthened what we are doing in Nemonor, and of course be part of the international community. And as some of you may be aware of, There are many hubs around the world. I think it's almost 47 different hubs. So we can collect experiences from those hubs, services and needs from both industry and the public sector that we can maybe try to address by the services that we are tailoring in the Nemonor European Digital Innovation Hub. We are hoping to increase the collaboration between this hub, Nemonor, and other partners. So, for instance, now trying to set up the first series of webinars here together with the Finnish AI Region and the local innovation hub. That's one example. We have something called the Norwegian Catapult. They're also providing services for the businesses, but with a slightly different approach than the European Digital Innovation Hubs. We have local Gaia X Hub also here in the city, and that's also part of the service delivery. We are promoting the first center in Norway on digital sovereignty, and that fits quite well with FIWARE and open standards, open source, and so on. And we are now just opening also a center for data-driven innovation to try to build, in a way, a consolidation above all of these initiatives, so it's easier for the customers to get the right services. And the last part on the upcoming big project that we're working on is data space for the city. So to be able to harvest data from both this IoT platform that I just presented, but also from other third-party actors like commercial partners or community-driven data initiatives, we need somewhere to put the data and make sure that we comply to the governance framework, GDPR, for example, and also how to monetize on data. So what we have been doing so far is that we have been looking into best practices from the EU. So one example here is the Data Spaces Blueprint from the Data Spaces Support Center. We are basing the data space on these recommendations and standards. We have also been a bit involved in the European Data Space for Smart Communities. They have developed in the first round of calls, this is part of the Digital Europe program, a set of recommendations and a blueprint for setting up a data space for a smart community. So we are following their recommendations, and we are even now trying to be a pilot in the upcoming call. And the other part here is that we need some kind of common API or protocol for what we are doing, especially when it comes to IoT data. So we have selected the next generation service interface linked data API for this. And of course, we are following the smart data models when setting up this data space. So this is a project that we are running now in 2025. And the whole idea here, this is just a schematic overview of everything. We have different providers to the data space, like I mentioned, the My Digital City IoT platform, commercial IoT providers, and community data. And one of the things that is quite key early in this project is to develop the data space connectors so that you're able to connect to the data space and follow the rules of the game in this data space. So there's a couple of interesting components here. I've just tried to simplify this a little bit, but the trust anchor that is able to provide the capability to identify all of the players participating in this data space, because we need to provide trust unless they are not willing to onboard to this data space. And the other part of the data space is a marketplace where we can manage the different products. It is not only about data, it could be providing compute capacities or bundling an algorithm together with data, for example. And on the other side here, we have all of the consumers, like the startups, the students, the research institute, the businesses, and other municipalities that would like to join the data space. So this is in a way the basis for our service delivery in Nemonor. And then I will just give you a brief overview of the services provided by Institute for Energy Technology in Nemonor. One of them is about interoperability in smart cities. So this is a one-day training, a webinar, or it could be hosted in different ways. But we are here going into the different standards, for example, how the minimum interoperability mechanisms could be deployed in a city, the living EU statement, for example, different standards like the NGC API and smart data models, to mention something. So this is a one-day training or webinar that we can provide. The other thing is almost the same for data spaces. So going into the different data spaces, how they are organized, what is important setting up a data space, and how can you get in touch with the community, at least in Norway, working on data space technologies. The third course is about digital twins. So we are providing data from our own building using the principles that I described in this IoT infrastructure. So the NGC ILD standard is deployed here, and we are collecting data from various sensors. So there's a possibility to try out to simulate, for example, a specific phenomenon in the building using real-time data and digital twin components. So this is also a training and also some demonstration of the technologies. Then we have the smart building data. So we are providing the data from the building also for different purposes. So here you can access data from all kinds of sensors that we have deployed throughout the building. Then we have some other services as well, not that related specifically to the FIWARE platform, but it's in a way a prerequisite that you have secure solutions. So we have this from attack to defense training. It's a one day training, or could be also provided as a webinar. Then we are also providing different courses and training on language models. We have also some tailor-made language models courses. When we visit the customer, it's a 3-day. The service is for 3 days, so we can dive a little bit into the specific challenges that the company have and try to help them out on how to utilize language models. Then we have a more technical training on consultancy on AI and physics-powered digital twins. This is actually targeting the nuclear industry, but it could also be available for other companies interested in this. And this is really a deep dive into digital twins. And the last course that we are providing is a course on safe use of AI, risk, vulnerabilities, and strategies. So since we have been working with risk management for many years within many different domains, we are now also targeting AI as a really important place for discussing risk management and how the uptake of AI and the use of AI in different domains. So I think this is at least some insights into some of the services, but please visit our web pages. It will be also available in English, I think, before the summer. So you can read all about the courses also and the services from all of the other partners. So thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And here you can see the webinar program. One more time, I needed to take my time to look for the exact slide earlier. But as we could hear from Peter's presentation, is that FIWARE is an excellent solution when you want to combine data from different silos, bring them together in a safe way, and enable the utilization of that data from different players and stakeholders in the field for different kind of services and solutions that even citizens could then utilize. Now that we took a glimpse into the tools and services available for smart city development, then let's now take a slightly different approach. Peter mentioned a few data spaces and how they can connect stakeholders to the existing data spaces. And now we want to highlight one specific test platform or called Locationeurope. combined or put together by Location Innovation Hub here in Finland. And without further ado, please, Antti Jakobson, the director of Location Innovation Hub, please could you explain us more in depth what is Locationeurope.eu, what can you do with it, and how it benefits the smart city development?
Thank you, Solja. Yes, I will start showing you what you can do with Locationeurope.eu, and if we go to the first slide, I will explain that we are also one of the EDIs in Europe, and basically we are the only center of excellence of location data in Europe. There are some other EDIs that are focusing on certain areas of location, but we are fully concentrating on the location data. We are located in Finland. We have quite large partnership, about 38 partners. At the moment, we have served about 300 and more clients. We have 36 test environments and have been quite active in organizing various events and providing information about use of the location data. One of the aspects that we basically today, I guess, are more focusing is this interoperability of location and other data, and that's basically one of our interests. And there we go to Locationeurope.eu, and basically it's providing one API for accessing distributed high-value data sets in Europe. So there is a connection to smart cities in that sense that, okay, we need to connect these smart cities together at some point, and I guess our solution might be one way to do it. It's developed in the GeoE3 project supported by Connecting Europe facility, and now it's provided by us as a test infrastructure for our clients. And the service is actually free, but the API requires API key and registration. Then I thought that, okay, I will demonstrate a certain online demonstration of the actual service. So we go to actual service. I guess you can start seeing it soon. If somebody can put it online. Yes, good. So basically, if you go to Location Europe, then you start seeing, basically, you can start exploring, and there's these APIs. I don't show the APIs at the moment, but basically we have built this kind of explore function to kind of have an understanding what kind of data you have. We have put these data teams there. You can see that there's, for example, buildings 2D, buildings 3D, and it shows the coverage of where in Europe we have currently a coverage. And if we go to, let's say, to Helsinki, some point here, and let's have or maybe we can go to Otaniemi, where I'm actually located at the moment. Sorry. Yeah. And we are located here in Vuorimiehentie. And when I zoom in, we start seeing first these 2D buildings. And if I click this 2D building, and I click the view item API, then I can start seeing what is the content of the building. And we also use the aerial photo as a background here. And one of the interesting things is that what we can do within the platform is that we can actually integrate other data to those building data. So we have integrated some climate data here. So basically, we can see that what is the forecast temperature at the moment in Otaniemi, 2.4 minus 2.4, and what is the general temperature and wind speed and sunshine hours, for example. We have some other examples of that as well, and then we can also let's say click this building 3D, and if we want to see it as a 3D, basically we can explore it as a 3D view as well. So that was the short demonstration of the capabilities of the platform, and then let's go back to my presentation. Yes. Yeah, I have to change it again. Yeah, sorry for that. So basically, I had backup as these kind of slides as well. If we share this, you can have a look on that. So what is happening next is that we are also working on the publishing Location Finland for testing new data sets in certain focus areas like smart cities and agri-food forestry. The planned publication is in February. So there we are going to be having, for example, this IoT data in smart city areas in our test areas to be available, which basically Nemonor was demonstrating. And we have started to plan for work for Locationeurope as well. That will go to the next period of the EDI starting in 2026. And that is the area where we would like to, let's say, have common services, example with the Nemonor. We have also been quite active working with the location data space concept. We are currently promoting it with the EU data space work like Simple and KIRAHub. We are actually part of the KIRAHub location ecosystem. And there we have demonstrated that we can connect Locationeurope.eu to one of the KIRAHub services or data spaces, which is called Pontus X. And there you can find, for example, metadata and connect to Locationeurope through the KIRAHub ecosystem. We are, of course, very interested in collaboration with Nemonor and FIWARE on connecting smart cities and location services. That we see that there are some issues at the moment, but I guess that is the idea that, okay, we should start working together to find solutions how to do that. I saw finally also a picture, one of the demonstration pics of the Locationfinland.fi. And basically, you can see that here we have certain central areas of the cities. And we also have integrated this kind of IoT service from the Meteorological Institute air quality. So basically, you can see that, okay, what is the current air quality in certain regions like Helsinki. If you want to learn more, we are also running as Nemonor this kind of courses. And what we are currently doing is that we are running this, let's say, how to do it with using the OGC API features. So this course will explain how you could do it yourself. We are also very interested that different data providers could start joining the Locationeurope platform. So there's a link how you would able to contact us to join that. But of course, we would be very interested to find the use cases. And if you want to use it, as I said, it's free. You need to get the API key, but it's freely available. You only have to do registration for that. So that was my presentation.
All right, thank you, Antti. Now we have an example of the technologies and services available for smart city development. We have an example of the actual data available for the smart city development. Now the only thing that typically SMEs and even cities and municipalities need is the actual domain expertise. And for this, I'd like to introduce you to Teemu Lehtinen from KIRA Innovation Hub. Teemu, would you tell us how your community and Accelerator service can further enable the effective smart city development?
Yes, thank you, Solja. So yeah, my name is Teemu Lehtinen. I'm the CEO of KIRAHub. We're a national innovation hub for the real estate and construction sectors in Finland and probably also part of the Finnish AI Region FIWARE EDIH consortium. I will tell you a bit more about our main service within FIWARE called AI Accelerator. And starting with kind of the significance of the smart cities and built environment sector, that that truly has potential for utilizing artificial intelligence. Some of the figures from Finland, we spend about 99% of our time within the built environment, and even 83% of our national wealth is tied up in buildings and infrastructure and cities. And actually, the whole sector employs every fifth Finn at the moment, and 60% of all investments in Finland are directed to the built environment. So if we can have some effect on making this system better, it definitely has a lot of impact. So how we at KIRAHub and FIWARE started to kind of help in scaling up learning and competence for players in this field. We are running the open online course called AI for Built Environment that anyone can take for no cost at the moment in English and Finnish. We also started quite recently the learning groups, where we gather groups of 10 people together to study the content of the course and allowing the kind of peer-to-peer learning as well. And then as a main service, we have the AI Accelerator that I will share you a bit more detail at the moment. So far, we have over 2,000 enrolled users in the online course. We have run 2 learning groups, and 12 companies being accelerated in the process. So what is the AI Accelerator? Here on the right side, you can see some of the companies that have been part of the accelerator in the past couple of years. So basically, it's a 2 to 3 month sprint where companies can join, and with the help of experienced facilitators, we do this in collaboration with a company called Data Design. We are helping them in the journey of starting to understand the potential of utilizing AI within their own business environment, and then steps towards planning and developing the first pilot projects to do that. So the content of this sprint is in more detail here. So it's first we have 4 full days of program where we are looking at opportunities of data and AI within the built environment, then understand the opportunities of data resources. We got just 2 amazing examples from Antti and Petter about the possible resources that also companies could utilize within the accelerator process. Then we go a bit deeper on the different technologies and generative AI and look how they could fit in those use cases, and then further plan the project and implementation of the company's own focus. Then there's time for about a month to actually do the project in practice, and then we will wrap it up together in the 5th day of learnings of each of the company. Here's also some of the tools that we utilize within the accelerator process. We do all kinds of demos of the latest technologies. We do different exercises, how to prioritize your use cases, for example. What kind of data products would you need? What kind of data do you need for your project? And then do all kinds of briefings and examples as well regarding the relevant stuff for your use case. So here's some of the recent examples from our AI accelerator that we've been doing with the companies. There's been a lot of these kind of forecasting tools. Here is 2 examples, mostly focusing on real estate, so pricing tool for new housing and a forecast of the time it takes to sell. Also predicting office space rents in areas with limited or even no available data. Also focusing on construction sites, so estimation of workload in a construction project, or forecasting model for the duration and costs of a construction project phase by phase. Here's a tool for proposal and sales activities, recommending the optimal services to offer for different potential customer groups. Also predicting property value after a zoning change in an area, or optimization of sales efforts by predicting whether the company should actually participate in a tender and how much effort they should actually invest to it. And then all kinds of automation processes, like minimizing the manual handling of PDF and Excel files by correctly classifying data using machine learning. So this is actually one of my favorite examples where they were able to do the full 1 day manual work for one person with this algorithm in actually 1 minute. And then the last one, solution based on extensive language models, so kind of like an internal ChatGPT on the specific content, for example, for a project. So got interested in the opportunities in the AI Accelerator. We actually, current batch started today. So there's actually in our space now 2 companies working on their new projects, but next batch will be starting on 25th of March. So let us know if you're interested to join. So what's next? Actually, some of the stakeholders within our sector are working on the AI playbook for built environment, iNginörit and building information foundation. So this is going to be actually launched quite soon. There's 5 different topics that it will cover. So data reliability and IPR issues, data traceability, risk mitigation, use cases and suitability, and business opportunities. So kind of having at least on certain level shared rules for the whole industry. How do we want to utilize AI as an industry, so that each of the company can actually follow the similar principles. And this will be actually launched this Friday on 24th of January. Let us know if you're interested to learn more about this as well. But yeah, that was my briefing for today's session, and happy to discuss more with all of these perspectives. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Teemu. And this was actually a good bridge for us to continue with the topic with Peter and Antti with Nemonor and Location Innovation Hub as well. What do you think, now that we have the technologies, we have available data, we have expert support, but can you think of any potential collaboration use cases between all of these 3 resources?
Yeah, at least from our side, we would really like to dive a bit deeper into geospatial computing and how we can utilize this together with IoT data. And as mentioned here, in regards of the built environment, I know that at least the local municipality here, and I think they reflect a lot of the municipalities in Norway, they have challenges in operating their built environment more efficiently. So that's at least a use case for us to explore. And I don't know about the municipalities in your area, what are they struggling with it? But they are mentioning the built environment and health as 2 major areas of interest. Health services for people living at home, for example.
Yes, actually, from my perspective, I see a lot of potential on actually bringing these resources as possibilities for all the companies joining our accelerator. We actually haven't had a public or city or municipality joining the accelerator yet. That's something I would really want to see as well. Kind of following on Peter's discussion. But yeah, I mean, I've been kind of dreaming about having this kind of a collection of available resources for our services to be utilized, for example, in the accelerator. So that would be super neat.
Yeah, and if I comment on also, I think one of the biggest challenges today is what Teemu also mentioned is these resources that, okay, how you can get access to various data sources. And actually there's quite big amount of various different services, but it requires quite a lot of effort for companies to start testing them. So this kind of solution that we provide is one possibility to provide one API and therefore connect directly and easily to this kind of various resources under it. And I think what also the Nemonom mentioned is that we need to have this kind of municipality type of connections together. So that's one of the area that we would like to work with Nemonom.
I can also maybe mention one big challenge that we have, building upon what you have already been saying, is that to be able to get data from the various silos, there are some big players behind some of those silos, and they are not willing to share the data. So to get a more innovative ecosystem, you need to be able to get hold of the data, especially those data created with the citizens' taxpayer or the taxpayers' money. They need to be open. And then there's an ongoing work actually in Norway to look at the laws and regulations related to this, because they would like to see more innovation. So if you are able to share this kind of digital assets between startups and established businesses and the municipalities, I think you can see a lot of more innovation coming along.
Excellent. So you mentioned a few things that are hindering the development, mostly related to the kind of access to different kind of resources. You talked about data, also skills is something that we are looking for, skillful workforce in order to develop these innovations within companies, whether we talk about new innovations or even operative development within the smart city sector. Funds are yet another resource that seem to be all the time searched even more. Can you identify any other things or issues that are now hindering the development of smart city applications and innovations, other than the lack of the resources or difficulty of accessing resources?
I think what we have been seeing over and over again, also within our accelerator companies, that the kind of the state of data is kind of lacking where it should be. So kind of the quality, in a sense, that how companies are kind of collecting the data, in which format and how extensively is varying a lot. So we do definitely need kind of more standardized ways and unified ways to collect and manage data within built environment and smart cities as well. And then, of course, we can start reaching the interoperability and also the opportunities in automation. But of course, the world will never be perfect from that perspective. So we need to find ways to work with incomplete data as well.
Yeah, and to add to the word interoperability, I think that's a key issue here in Norway. There's so many standards and so many ways of doing things. So we are trying to promote, and then that's actually part of one of the courses that I presented earlier, is to help maybe the municipalities to understand how they could implement the minimal interoperability mechanisms proposed by the Living in EU initiative, and also the Open and Agile Smart Cities. So I think that's a good starting point. It will not be exactly plug and play, but at least they are moving in the right direction, agreeing on some common standards.
Yeah, I agree on the challenge on the interoperability. Maybe I would raise one another aspect is that we currently are in the situation that most of these data that you would like to utilize, it's quite difficult to utilize that, and it takes a lot of time. So that's why we are also promoting these APIs in that sense, that you don't have to download everything in one batch, that you only use it where you want to use it. And basically it means also that it's always up to date. So you don't have this kind of issue with the data quality on that sense. And There's also and one other aspect, which is the security of data, that which is kind of raising at the moment as an issue. That if you use this kind of concept that the data spaces are providing, then you can control who is actually getting access to your data.
Excellent. So you mentioned these APIs, that this is something that at least Location Innovation Hub is like very actively now promoting and wants to promote. Any other services that you as EDIHs or beneficiaries of European Digital Innovation Hubs that you've taken towards removing these obstacles, ensuring interoperability of the data, ensuring the correct management and kind of clean management of data? Any examples?
Well, if I start, we have quite a number of manuals that we have created, which actually give an understanding, for example, to a startup that, okay, there are currently global data sets that most of the startups are using, but there's no necessarily understanding how you would use these kind of national or smart city type of sources. So that's one of the areas that the companies need to have guidance. And we have other guidance as well for this kind of how you would deal on APIs, because it's a big change for companies as well.
Yes, I think what we've been doing is working closely with different stakeholders and groups that are working with kind of standardizing or offering these kind of data platforms from both public and private sectors in Finland. For example, the Built Environment Information System RYHTI, or then actually, well, I mentioned already the playbook for utilizing AI that is now coming up, which is also super important. But we've been also discussing starting to work on this even more general playbook for kind of a fair use of data, or kind of data economy for the built environment sector, real estate and construction sector. Because at the moment, these kinds of issues, nobody is actually taking into account in contracting or wherever, how the data could be utilized between different stakeholders on a project level or on a building level. And for these things to work, we definitely do need to take those into account even in contracts in the future.
Petter, how about Norway?
Yeah, what I can see from some of the startups that we have been discussing these things with is that they are building their own data models. So every time they start a new project, they are trying to design a new data model. So for example, if there's a water meter project, they are not following, for example, what has been already established in the Smart Data Models Initiative. They have been trying to consolidate the attributes and requirements from a lot of different smart cities projects throughout Europe, but they are still starting from scratch. So utilizing some of the good work that has already been done throughout Europe, I think that we need to help them understand that this could really impact their value proposition. So, but there's a challenge going into standards with the smaller companies.
Yeah, I'm thinking about all of these smart city solutions around the Europe, existing and the new ones coming up. How could we bring all this smart city development together? Would EDIHs have a stake to play in this?
Definitely. There's already a great working group called WG Construction going on within the EDIH network, where smart city issues are also covered. I don't know if we could kind of build with that network or even start a working group, smart city. But also, I mean, these kind of open communities, like there's actually tomorrow starting in Tampere, Finland, the conference with the open and agile smart cities are of course one way, and then just kind of building more and more this kind of joint projects. We're also working at the moment with a EU kind of a demonstrator project with FIWARE, kind of bringing FIWARE technologies to these kind of renovation projects in Finland, and how we can start connecting building information modeling and FIWARE dynamic data together for the needs of the renovation projects and energy renovation projects. So these kind of new initiatives where we try things in practice, I think, are definitely needed.
Any other comments from Antti or Petter? What is the role of EDIs?
I think I also agree with Teemu that, okay, we need this kind of demonstrations, and we need this kind of, I think the EDIs are in that sense good that we can provide this kind of test infrastructure and test beds for trying this kind of new innovations. And what we have seen in various EDIs is that we have a lot of them. And the challenge is how you could kind of pick them, the best ones. And I think in the next period, the challenge or one of our target is to start providing common services, and that also has been recognized by the Commission. So they would like to see common services, and I think that is the way forward.
Yeah, and we discussed interoperability, and that's key to be able to, what we are calling it, copy paste between, especially when it comes to the public sector. There should be possible to copy paste good solutions between municipalities and even between countries, because we are trying to solve the same problems all across Europe. So if someone has been able to crack some of the big challenges, we should be able to copy that one. And utilizing open source technology and so on, it could be even extended for local challenges or problems that they have. So copy paste, I think that's a good word for this. Copy paste, then we accelerate the digital transition.
All right, thank you. Then, since the time is running, my final question to you before letting the audience ask questions from you is, what would be your advice for startups, for medium-sized companies, maybe even municipalities? What are the first steps if they are interested in utilizing FIWARE technologies or attending the Accelerator, rather than just sending Teemu, of course, a message that, hey, we want to join your program, or utilizing any of the available data spaces? Where to start? What to do? What's the first question to ask?
I think they should get in touch with the EDIs, and they will help them out. So doing this first maturity assessment is quite important, because then we can tailor the customer journey for them. So you need to take this and this training, and maybe also get in touch with people responsible for test before invest infrastructure. So get in touch with the EDIs. That's at least what I'm trying to promote here in Norway.
Great. Teemu, Antti.
Well, I would say that, have a look on what we offer as a manual, for example. Then we have this academy. You could take a course. They are rather easy to do it. They are not very complicated. So if you have done that and you still think that, okay, this is interesting, then contact us, and we can provide, let's say, consultancy to get you forward in the path.
Yeah, I would say first step, check all the events that are going on within the EDI networks from the different websites, from the local EDIs, and then of course, I mean, it's no-brainer to just submit an application to become a customer. It doesn't cost anything, and then you can get access to everything that is available for you, and also get kind of a direct support to find services that you would really benefit from. So that's a kind of super easy, low threshold way of going forward.
All right, so three great quick sales pitches for EDIs. Petter mentioned about the digital maturity assessments that all of the EDIs are conducting. There is a tool available that can be utilized with businesses when it comes to digitalization. And then, of course, as always, when developing processes or new innovations, the technology will be then decided. It might be AI, it might be IoT solutions, it might be added reality, it might be high performance computing. There's a lot of variety, amongst the edicts, but that is typically a great way to start and get the process going. Now, before moving on to the coming up events and other information, is there any questions from the audience online today? Feel free to send your questions in the chat. And while you might do so, I will quickly find my presentation here. And now, if the moderator can please put it on. All right, seems like no questions from the audience at this moment. Everybody knows to look for the local European Digital Innovation Hub. There are 4 in Finland, 2 in Norway. We collaborate very heavily, especially within the Nordic countries, and offer jointly all of our services to all companies and even municipalities. A few highlights of what is coming up next. On February 13th, there is a Finnish on-site event related to cybersecurity, tekoäly ja tietoturva PK-yrityksissä. On-site in Helsinki. Please just find your way to fareedich.fi and register for the event. Another smart city related training webinar will be on the 27th of March related to advances in indoor and sensor positioning, and that will be online. And so this is a bit more in-depth session for experts in the industry, but also beneficial for business professionals. So feel free to find it and register. It should be in our channels in just a few days' time. There will also be a third smart city related webinar coming up a bit later on in the spring, and after the date is decided, we will also publish that in our media. Feel free to go check out our services at FIWARE.fi, Locationeurope.eu, and Nemonor.no. And from those sources, you can find all of the services, data, available data, and the trainings mentioned, for example, during this webinar. I want to thank Teemu, Petter, Antti for joining this webinar, all the audience, and I hope to see you in the upcoming events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.